An American institution just did the unthinkable. And ladies and gentlemen, it dramatically affects our children and our country. All right, folks, let's get into this. First of all, I want to apologize to you for the terrible camera angle and the audio, but I felt the need to do this from my hotel room as, of course, I am traveling and I'm out of state and I don't have the ability to jump in the studio and go over this, but I feel the need to have a conversation with you regarding this issue because it's absolutely significant. Now, this story came across the pipe recently, and I have to tell you, if we don't get it out, if we don't have these conversations, we are going to watch these things get worse and worse and worse and worse. And folks, this one is absolutely ugly. Let me read the title to you. This is from the Jerusalem Post. It says this. It says, University of Maryland grants permit for pro-Palestinian groups campus rally on October the 7th. Yes, folks, you heard it right. On October the 7th. This is what you call complete and total absolute insanity. Let me read the article. It goes on to say the permit is the latest example of concerns around renewal of student activism around the war in Gaza. Jewish campus groups and parents are criticizing a reported decision by the University of Maryland allowing a pro-Palestinian group to hold a rally on campus on October the 7th, the one-year anniversary of the Hamas attacks in Israel. By the way, the brutal, animalistic, savage, absolutely evil, wicked, demonically inspired attacks on Israeli children, women, and men. It was absolutely terrible. We all know this, but yet on the very day that these savage things happen, these American students want to protest. Now, there's more to this, and we're going to talk about it because I think it's very, very important. Look what it goes on to say. The permit was given to Students for Justice in Palestine, according to the Campus Hillel and Jewish Student Union, who decried on Instagram without criticizing the university directly. By the way, let me just tell you this. Understand the name of the organization that was given the permit, okay? It was Students for Justice in Palestine. That is being paid for, bought and paid for by wicked, evil, globalist individuals like Soros, and it's being done with the intent to create nefarious circumstances that surround anything and everything around Jewish students and Israel. And folks, the schools, of course, are going to issue the permits because they know who the organization is being funded by, and they also know where their bread and butter is coming from, which is people like Soros. This is demonic, folks, but this is the kind of corrupt nonsense that we're going to continue to see on the rise. Remember, Zechariah tells us to expect this. This should be something that does not surprise us. Look what it goes on to say. October 7th is a day of tragedy for the Jewish and Israeli community around the world. It is alarming to see that SJP has chosen this date, a day of Jewish mourning, to hold an event on campus. They added, while SJP followed university protocol in making this reservation, it is nevertheless condemnable that they did. The Jewish groups also said their own October 7th memorial was in the works. Okay, first of all, let me just simply say this. The college should have deemed this as inappropriate. The college should have said this is a no-go. If there's anybody that should have a right to do anything on October the 7th, it should be the Jewish students who want to do this, to mourn and remember an absolutely terrible day. Bring awareness of what's going on with the hostages. Bring awareness of all the crazy things that are going on. Bring awareness of the insanity that actually happened on that day, since so many people who claim to be experts on the issue know nothing about it, but should learn a thing or two about what happened on that day. Look what it goes on to say. The SJP chapter confirmed to the Washington Post that it was planning an action on McKeldin Mall, the College Park campus's main green, for October the 7th. The university declined to comment by press time on Friday. It's just crazy. Like, the campus is going to let them sit in the middle of their campus to bring this stuff up? Who in their right mind would allow this to happen? This is crazy. Rabbi Ari Israel, director of Maryland Hillel, told the conservative news outlet The Daily Wire he expressed concern about the event to university leadership. Local Jewish leaders and parents say they fear that the rally might glorify the killing of 1,200 Israelis, a stance that other SJP chapters have taken over the past year. Here's another quote. It says, any effort to celebrate the death of 1,200 members of our community on October the 7th, 2023, even within the context of celebrating so-called freedom fighters or martyrs, will be taken by the UMD Jewish community as a direct threat to the safety of the Jewish community at UMD. Now, this is an open letter that was read to the school's senior leadership, currently circulating among Jewish parents and the facility. I think that's important. Like, they should be talking about this because it's really, really wrong. This week, the university's SJP chapter mounted a flag display on campus commemorating the victims of Israel's war in Gaza. Guys, you heard that right. You read it right. They are commemorating the lives of terrorists who died during the commission of murdering innocent people. That's how crazy these people are. It's absolutely insane. What in the world is... Okay, let me go on reading this. This is crazy. The school's recently reformed Jewish Voice for Peace chapter attended the event. The display claimed Israel had killed an upwards of 150,000 people in Gaza, drastically overstating even the Gaza Health Ministry's own reported death tolls since the start of the war. And folks, that is so true. Even Hamas doesn't lift up numbers like that. But these people are exaggerating it because as it gets worse and worse and worse and worse, it gives them a license to do the crazy, insane, wicked things that they want to continue to do. The article goes on to say the permit is the latest example of concerns around renewal of student activism around the war in Gaza. As the fall semester begins, there have been arrests and some circulation of anti-Semitic material at various campuses, including a protest stage outside Hillel Center at the Temple University, also organized by an SJP chapter. The letter opposing the Maryland permit, which does not publicly list its signatories, goes on to make specific recommendations and outlines areas of activism that community members say could never enter into anti-Semitism. It pushes Maryland to adopt hate speech guidelines recently unveiled at New York University that discourage students from targeting Zionists. That's what they're calling it, Zionists, folks. Folks, I want to make myself clear. This article goes on to talk about the right to assemble. This article goes on to talk about the justification for setting up some type of a foundational argument against the lives, the precious lives of Jews. And it goes on to continue to talk about the mindset that these students are continuing to adapt due to the fact that they are absolutely 100% brainwashed. Listen, the Bible in Zechariah chapter 12 tells us that there will be an increase in anti-Semitism. We should not be surprised by that. It should not shock us. It should not be anything that we look at and say, oh man, what are we going to do? But the one thing we should recall and recognize and remember is how destructive all of this can become, especially as people give in to the voice of the devil regarding these things. Folks, I want everybody to understand this. The flavor of anti-Semitism that we are seeing right now, heck, quite frankly, any flavor of anti-Semitism that we're seeing right now, or even in the past, comes straight from the pit of hell. It is satanic. There's never a situation, there's never an instance when anti-Semitism is acceptable. There's never a moment where it's fashionable. There's never a moment where it's okay or permissible. Folks, every single time you begin to see anti-Semitism being mainstream, heck, it doesn't even have to be mainstream. Anytime you see it being surfaced at any level, understand the society that allows that to become permissible is the society that has a limited time clock. It's a society that doesn't have long to survive, because when a society will turn its heart towards the people of God, that society is always blessed. When a society always embraces the people of God, always seeks to bless the people of God, then that society is blessed. Now, I know that there's a lot of people that will argue, well, the Jews turned their back on the Lord. They turned their back on Christ. They crucified him, and they go on and on and on and on about all the terrible things that Jews have done. Fine, farewell. I get that. Whatever you want to say concerning that. But it's not your responsibility or my responsibility to address that issue. That's God's responsibility. But you absolutely do not. You have no right. I have no right to step in the place of God and choose to carry some type of a sentiment that causes these people to just continue to hate Jews. None of this is right. And folks, If you care about the future of your children, then you will go out of your way to teach them to love Jews. If you care about the future of your nation, then you will go out of your way to speak against anti-Semitism. If you want your country to be blessed, if you want your world to be blessed, if you want your life to be blessed, what are you going to do? You are going to put God first, and you are going to give him the place that he deserves. And if you put God first and you give him the place that he deserves, the one thing you're not going to do is seek to destroy every good and wonderful thing that God has put into place. And especially when you find yourself in a situation where whatever God has called good has become bad, and you choose to assume the role of God by destroying those things. I can tell you this, you're headed down a bad road. Folks, we have a responsibility to stand up in the face of all of this happening. Where are the big donors? Why aren't the donors shutting it down? Where are the people that carry the most influence in these things? Why aren't they speaking up? Do they want their children to become a bunch of brainwashed terrorists? Folks, this is crazy. And we have to stop for a moment and think about this stuff for what it is. We have to wake up and recognize that the souls of our children are greatly at risk, that our very future is at risk. We have to stop. We have to contemplate that. We have to recognize it for what it is. And we have to say, Almighty God, give me the boldness, give me the courage, give me the strength to be able to stand up for what is right. Folks, I want to make myself clear. If you want your family to be blessed by God, then you bless God's people. Don't worry about what has been done or what hasn't been done. Go out of your way to stand on behalf of his people, Israel. I know that what I'm saying is going to make a lot of people mad. I know that what I'm saying is going to be received not quite well by some, but it's important for me to tell the truth, because if you want to be blessed, if you want God to bless you, then you will bless his people. Genesis chapter 12, verse 3 tells us this, that God will bless those that bless you, and he will curse those that curse you. He's talking to Abraham. He's talking to Abraham's descendants. I don't know about you, but I want to be blessed by God, and I want you to be blessed by God, which is why I want you to stand against this very wickedness. Guys, we don't have another option. It's time to keep our eyes on the Lord and fight the good fight. Our children are depending upon that. We want to give our children and our children's children the best possible shot at the life that they're living. We're not going to do that if we encourage this nonsense. God bless you. Keep fighting the good fight.